Good morning, Vineyard Church Glendora. My name is John Ragsdale, and I have the pleasure of offering this reflection on John 13, 1-17 today. The term Maundy Thursday is rooted in the Latin form of Jesus' new commandment in John 13:34 and his washing of the disciples' feet in John 13, 5-12. We trace the word Maundy from the Latin word for commandment. That word is mandatum. So when Jesus says, "A new commandment I give to you," in Latin, that's rendered mandatum novum de vobis. Jesus goes on to explain that that commandment is that we love one another. Many churches remember and, yes, celebrate that command by doing a foot washing on this day, since Jesus washes the feet of the 12 in our text for today. John 13, 1-17, our text, stands right at the beginning of the 5 chapters in John's Gospel devoted to the night of the Last Supper. So reflection number 1 is really much more of an observation. These chapters must be pretty important if the Gospel writer devotes 5 chapters to this one evening meal. Maybe we should pay attention to that. Having said that, let's dip our toes into the text, shall we? Starting with verse 1. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. So reflection number 2 is this. Jesus loved those called his own until the end. I don't know how many times I've read this text. I don't know how many times, but this part of the verse never struck me as it does today. Maybe it's the times in which we're living. That could be. But the idea that Jesus loves his own until the end is captivating to me today. Originally, his own referred to the 12, but today, I am one of his own, and so are you. You are one of his own. But that's not all. He loves his own until the end. Now, when I think about it, this end, it could be a little ambiguous. I wonder if the writer did that on purpose. Did he leave it intentionally ambiguous? So you might be saying, I'm not tracking with you. How is it ambiguous? It's a good question. Does he mean Jesus' end, or does he mean the disciples' end? Now that you're thinking about it, I bet some of you are probably shouting at me right now, it's both, it's both. You know what? I think you're right. Sometimes the writers leave things just a little ambiguous or allow for some double meaning so that we'll do a little interpretive work on our own. It's part of the drama of reading, I think. So Jesus loves his own, you and me, the original 12, until the end. His end and our end. Of course, we know there's no end, which is the beauty, the irony of it. And in these days, we are comforted by finding the Lord of all reminding us in this text, I love you to the end. And it is this kind of love that motivates Jesus to wash the feet of his own. So let's get back to the text then. Jumping down to verses 12-15 and then over to verse 34 for a moment. The text reads this. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I've done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that's what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I've set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Verse 34, a new commandment I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. So here's the third reflection. We should wash one another's feet as Jesus did. I can hear you right now. Wait a minute. How are we to wash one another's feet in a period of social distancing? Friends, I'm not so sure that's the question. At least it's not the one I'm asking myself today. I think the question is not so much how we wash each other's feet as this. How do we love until the end? How do we love one another as he has loved us? This example of foot washing is exactly that. It is the way Jesus chose on this last night with the first group of 12 to demonstrate that enduring love. Interestingly, at least interesting to me, he demonstrates that enduring love to Judas too. Judas's feet are washed. Judas participates in the meal. It's only afterwards that he departs from the group. So I return to my question. How shall we then love until the end? How shall we go and do likewise? Let me put it another way. How does this Easter season, this Maundy Thursday, this day, hopefully, given everything going on, it is the only one of its kind any of us will ever know. How does this Maundy Thursday help us to think creatively about loving each other until the end? Jesus took up a bowl and a towel. That was his example. What will we take up? How will we fulfill this new commandment? Grace and peace, my friends, on this Maundy Thursday. A new commandment he has given us. Let us love